topic is the truth of early recovery. And just to let you know who I am, my name is Ashley. I'm a therapist. I specialise in addiction, but I also specialise in trauma and childhood. And I've overcame addiction. I think that's the thing that qualifies us the most to be sitting here talking about it. I've overcame addiction. I've studied it right up until PhD level, and I've also experienced what it's like to have a loved one who's going through addiction. So I really do understand it. A bit too much, but here we are, and I'm here to support people. So today's topic is about the truth of early recovery. And I want to be clear, recovery is not, as much as we would like it to be, as simple as, do you know what it is? Tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'm just going to be recovered. I'm going to live this amazing life. And I think sometimes when we start to realise the truth of that, it can feel really demoralising. When we start to realise that actually recovery is messy, it's not linear, it's a case of going for it and then feeling like we're failing and feeling like we're going right the way back to the beginning. It's sometimes relapse, sometimes it's okay, I've managed to do it first time, but then also having to deal with all the rubbish that the addiction has been soothing, and it's just messy. And I think it's so important that people realise that this expectation of I'm just going to stop and everything's going to be rainbows and butterflies is just an expectation. And the problem with expectation is whether we're putting it on ourselves or if you're a loved one who is expecting you just to wake up tomorrow and stop, is the thing with expectation is, one, that expectation is far too high. It's not in alignment of the real experience of addiction recovery. And two, when we're not hitting expectation, we can start to blame ourselves and we can start to feel shame and feel like we're not good enough and we're not getting it right, which is why I'm doing this channel. I want to sit here and say to everybody, it is messy. It took me years. It's took years of undoing all the shame. It's took me years of learning better coping mechanisms. It's took years of relapse and picking myself up, and that is okay. That is normal. And I think the more we talk about it, the less of the expectation we're going to put on ourselves. Instead of thinking, right, tomorrow I'm going to wake up and everything's going to be great, instead see addiction recovery is a destination. And every time you pick yourself up and you do something a little bit different, you learn to love yourself a bit more, you're powering yourself up, you're getting yourself a little bit further towards that destination. But it isn't about the destination itself. It's about one foot in front of the other, which is why often you hear people in recovery who's successfully done it, you'll hear them say things like, just one day at a time. And the reason why people say one day at a time is because it really is a case of one day at a time. So one day maybe we're failing, one day maybe we hit a setback, one day maybe we relapse, and one day maybe we make huge strides and we'll have a breakthrough. But it is one day at a time. And if you think of it like a trajectory where you're just putting one foot in front of the other and you're praising yourself for every win and you're learning from every misstep. If you go off course, it's fine. How am I going to redirect myself towards the trajectory I want to be on? Let's see what people are saying. Hi, Roxy. Good morning. How are you doing? Roxy's my little Gen Z moderator. He's brilliant. Hi, Scarphilia. How are you doing? Oh, I've got an itchy shoulder. Right. Do you know what HPPD is? No, I don't. Roxy, what is it? Have a blessed day, Scarphilia. Thank you. You too, and everybody else who's watching. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Let us know, Roxy. One of the things about Roxy is Roxy understands a total different side of addiction to me. So Roxy's got a great knowledge base around the prescription drugs and addiction. So which is why he's a great asset. And also he's Gen Z. So, you know, I think when I was in that age that he is, in my early 20s, I was just, oh God, racking up fails and racking up shame debt. And He's like really knowledgeable. So if anyone has any questions about that, let us know. And also I'm a therapist. So if anybody has any questions about addiction or mental health, just pop it in the comments and I'll do my best to respond. So yeah, thinking about this idea, the truth of addiction, I think the problem when we're stuck in addiction is that we don't openly talk about it as much as we should be, because we get this fear that I'm failing, I'm not doing it right. And even when we're in active addiction, there is so many different things that we can do toward getting to where we want to be. So it doesn't need to have the goal of I'm stopping today. It's more about, okay, how can I build up resilience? How can I better the relationship with myself so that when I do stop and I am ready, or I take that next little step towards sobriety or stopping the addictive behavior, whatever it is, how can I build up resilience so that I'm a little bit stronger and I'm a little bit wiser? So think of it like, at the moment, I'm struggling with addiction and it's not fun and it feels demoralizing and I have this destination, but there's lots of things and reasons why I'm in the position I am, and we don't need to get rid of the thing that's soothing us and medicating. What I need to do is get myself into a place where I'm going to be able to fight that battle. And every time that we uncover something about ourselves, we give ourselves a bit of grace, we learn to love ourselves, we're going to be in a much better position to fight that addiction. I'm going to see what some people are saying, and I'm going to keep coming back to the main topic throughout and answer some questions. Mind over matter, nice to see you again. Hello. Scarphilia, aim for more well-being groups, etc. Yeah, that's one of the biggest things that I've done, guys. For me, it wasn't about, I realised when I couldn't get out of my addiction and I realised that I was just relapsing time after time, day after day, I realised, okay, just stopping the addiction isn't working. So I started, because I was already training to be a therapist, I already knew that like self-love, self-improvement was really important. So I focused on something that was in my control. And what I didn't realise was that was actually going to help us in my addiction recovery. So as Scarphilia is saying, focus on well-being, focus on loving yourself, focus on just being your own best friend. And that is all going to help you in the recovery. So instead of seeing it like I'm failing, just think about, okay, this is part of that trajectory to where I want to be. Because you've got to be resilient, guys. And resilience isn't willpower. Resilience is, okay, I need to love myself enough. I need to have got hobbies in place. I need to be able to handle triggers by being my own best friend. So if you don't like yourself, if you're berating yourself and putting expectation on yourself, you're not going to be in the category of people who loving themselves enough to get out of addiction recovery. So just focus on that. Just think, right, this is the strategy before I go to war, and just strategize. I don't know how you say your name. I'm going to call you Pab. How to addict myself to limitless work. I make on time, study, train and work at the same time. I know it's probably impossible, but 24 hours seems it isn't enough for me. Are you saying that you're addicted to work? Because that is a very real addiction. It's something I'm having to make sure I don't end up falling in the trap of. By the way, thanks for whoever's given us likes. If anyone could give us a subscribe, that would be really helpful. Charles Soldier, what's the addiction? So I'm talking about addiction in general, but if you're asking about my personal addiction, I had quite a brutal addiction to ketamine. And I also had loads of other addictions. I think most people can relate that often when we're struggling with addiction, it's not one thing. It's just we have a really problematic addiction and then we've got other addictions which are going on underneath, which we do outside of the addiction or alongside the addiction. So I was addicted to just being, my mind being altered, in an altered state. Essentially, I was addicted to escapism. Roxy, if you're reading this, please be kind in the chat and like the live. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, please be kind to everyone. And also, if anyone's watching who's in recovery, can you give some tips and tricks to people who are listening now or on the replay who are struggling with active addiction? Scarphilia, my name is Lee, by the way. Right, I'll try my best to remember that. That is a bit easier than Scarphilia. Hi, Lee. Tomu, hello. Do you have a sponsor to help you set up a platform so you can help more people? I don't. I'm just doing it by myself in my sitting room. This is like, but I am setting up a little studio. Oh gosh, right, I'm dyslexic, guys. If I can't say your name straight away, you're getting signed a new one. So you're just going to be pragmatist. Hello, how you doing? Clip series movies. Is binge watching one? Right, an addiction, guys, and I say this all the time, but I'll just keep saying it, is addiction is defined as having a problem. So only you can decide if you've got a problem. And by a problem, it's something that's problematic to your life, whether that's your health or your mental well-being or your relationships. So it's having a problem that you want to stop, that you can't stop. So if you feel like binge watching is problematic and you want to stop it, but you can't, then that would be in that addictive behavior category. But equally, as humans, we naturally are addicted to things. It's all to do with our neurobiology. So it's about making sure that the things that we're habitually doing are adding to our lives, not becoming problematic to our lives. So that's where that problem is really important, because, you know, we're all going to have things that we do habitually that we get dopamine from, but it's about whether it's problematic and then if you can't stop it, which makes it a really big fucking problem if we want to stop it and we can't. Let's be real. Charles Soldier, love your accent. Thank you. I'm a Geordie. It was voted in the top 3 best accents in the UK. Pat, holy gorgeous, want to get married. I mean, I'd like to get married one day, but I'm not single, so on a broad sense, yes. Charles Soldier, just liked and subscribed. Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm trying to just get I'm trying to get as many subscribers as once so that I can get paid off YouTube, so that I can support people for free. Chicken biscuits, dopamine. Yeah, bloody dopamine. It's the root of all evil, but it drives me toward pleasure. So love-hate relationship with it. Pat, I'm addicted to you. Well, there's probably worse addictions, but yeah, like I said, if it's a problem, probably should get off the channel. Right, Lee, don't hit on Ashley yet first. Thank you very much. Sign of someone who ain't willing to give up. Beautiful as she is, this indicates you're here for the wrong reason. Yeah, thank you. And I try to just handle it with grace because I don't like, it's online space, but yeah, I am here to support people, not to advertise myself as single, because I'm not. Right, okay. Lol, no thanks. Oh, you're Irish. No, I'm Geordie. Geordie's Newcastle. Anthony, love you. Wonderful smile, brighten my day. Thank you. How much do you charge respectfully? So if you're talking about addiction recovery, I'm not charging. I am doing a free online group for people who are in dire straits, and also do one-to-ones for people who are also in dire straits, but I'm also working to set up different things to support people so I'm not having to do one-to-ones, because one of the things is I realise I can help one person, which is great, but I'd prefer to help multiple people. So I'm not actually charging for one-to-ones. I'm offering one-off one-to-ones for people who are really struggling until I can get things in place which will support them, because I recognise it's a bit of an ethical grey area. Right, has anyone got any questions about addiction or mental health, by the way? Because I'm I don't mind chatting. I think chatting's fun. Like, I enjoy this as much as other people do. But I am a therapist, for anybody who doesn't know, and I specialise in addictions and trauma. So any questions around mental health, feel free to ask. So I think the two sides of the same coin. Aidan, where are you based? I'm based in the north of England. It's currently snowing, guys. Oz, this is very cool of you. Thank you. Charles Soldier, can I ask your age? I'm 36. 36, and I gave up my addiction successfully when I was 32, so I'm nearly 4 years sober. I think I've just hit 14,000 days sober. I use this I Am Sober app, by the way, if nobody's used that. I found it quite helpful. The only caveat to that, though, is I didn't find it helpful, and I was talking to my friend about this the other day, when I kept having to restart the date. But there's a kind of time, and I don't know if anybody who's in recovery knows about this. Lee, maybe it's you. You might be able to. I don't know who else is in recovery on here. But for me, the day I stopped, I knew it was going to be the time I stopped. I just had this knowing, and I think looking back, it wasn't so much as a knowing, but rather going back to the initial topic, I'd built up that much resilience and that much self-love that at this point I thought, yeah, I know I've got what it takes to push us over the finish line. And I've got a best friend who's going through addiction recovery at the moment, and she's had the same mentality, like, no, I'm going to do it this time. But I've watched her for the last 3 years really learn to love herself, going to therapies and putting in boundaries with people and protecting our safe space. Peter says, I'm watching this while currently buzzing on Flake. Do you know what it is? I remember going to my first NA meeting, which, by the way, I only did for a little bit, so that wasn't what helped my recovery, but it was certainly useful in it. But I didn't end up doing the 12-step program. But I remember going to my first meeting off my nut on Ket. So, look, it's the thing with addiction recovery, so going back to the beginning, is it's a process. And if there's actually a model which talks about this, and it's called the wheel of change in addiction. And it starts off with denial. So it's this point where we're like, it's all right, I'm on Flake, I enjoy it, fine. Then you start get to a point where you're like, I'm on Flake, but I'm starting to think maybe I don't want to be on Flake. And that's where you start to entertain the idea that I might stop. So even if you're on Flake, turning up the lives, watching videos on how to get off Flake, that's brilliant. That shows you're going in the right direction. So everything we do in recovery up until that point when we stop is all actually helping the recovery. And this is what I think is really important to remember. It's not about stopping, it's about priming yourself to get there. And the Wheel of Change talks about this because there's a process that people go through before they get to cutting out the addiction. So yeah. Right, let's see what other people... Right, Oz says, I'm currently an addict, but it's manageable. Any advice? Yeah, come along to my addiction group, Oz. Come along to my addiction group, and I'm going to give you a week by week. I've designed a full program. I've been working on it for years. I've written a book, so it's in line with the book. So it's all grounded in neuroscience, biology, psychology. So you're welcome to come along to that. But if you're wanting some advice, what I will say is, I keep saying this, but it's really important. Just think about what one thing can I do today to love myself? What one thing can I do today to prime myself for getting out of the addiction? Because it's not about stopping the thing. The thing is, and I say this all the time, but it's so important, the addiction isn't the problem, it's the solution. So if we are just gonna... If you think of it like a way of self-medicating, we're self-soothing either physical or emotional pain. And all of the research says this. So if we think of like the addiction as medication, if you've got an issue and you need medication, you're not going to rip the medication away before you've resolved the issue. So don't think of it like just get rid of the addiction and shame myself and get all the willpower until I can remove it. Think about what is the problem and how am I going to strategically work on that problem. And part of the problem that every addict is facing is shame, because we want to stop and we can't, so that instantly produces shame. And it's also a fact of there's some kind of hurt going on underneath. Now, we don't need to delve into the biggest traumas because that's going to just make the addiction go worse. But what we can do is start to scaffold that emotional pain by doing things that are positive for us, learning to love myself. And the other component I'll say, which is super important, is our bodies. So we can all make little incremental changes towards improving sleep, improving our gut microbiome, aka food, and exercise. So love your body. And the other thing is we all need connection. So make sure that you're creating or leaning into support networks, whether that's through group work, who are people who've gone through and been through addiction, or whether that's with loved ones. Even get a hobby and go make some friends at the hobby. Like, honestly, I go to jiu-jitsu, it's mint. It's such good camaraderie, you're making friends, it's such a fun thing to do. Just support network. Right, Brim, what do you think about the men's thing? Yeah, Brim, do you know what it is? One thing that I love about this channel is I look at my statistics all the time as I'm trying to like grow it, and 81% of people who come to my channel are men, which is brilliant because as a therapist, so I used to head veteran counselling at a charity, and one of the things with men is they're very different to women, and also they're less likely to reach out for support. So even we've got someone who says he's Peter, I'm watching this currently buzzing on Flake. Like, the thing is, people like Peter, this is given a space to come. So that's what I think. It's good that men are able to access support, but they're less likely to access support. And equally, men are really in dire straits and need to access support, because when we look at men and women and the way that our brains work, because what fires together wires together in our neuroplasticity in our brains, because men are generally culturally taught to not feel emotions and to push them down, the left and right brain doesn't link up in the same way as women. So there's a really big difficulty that men face. So just to give an easy layman explanation of left and right brain, your left brain, think of L, which is responsible for language and logic. Men use that side of the brain, great. Women, so your left side of your brain is language, logic. Your right side of your brain is what's really going on. So think of intuition, emotion. And men tend to work from one side of the brain only, whereas women link the two brains up. So there's neural pathways between them, which means women have emotions and they're able to put language to it. And if we're not able to understand and put language to our emotions, we're in a bit of a sticky situation. So the thing with men is, what happens is often you're feeling a lot of stuff under the surface. You don't really have the language and understanding of it. So instead, you're just being angry. I'm pissed off and I don't know why. I'm angry at the world. I'm upset. I can't be bothered. I feel all this horrible stuff, and you don't know how to process it. So men have a big difficulty. The great thing is, what fires together wires together. So men can build pathways between the emotional and rational brain, and it's a process of learning to do that. So what that means for men with addiction is you've got a slightly harder job where you've got to learn how to process your emotions, which women do more naturally. The good thing is, though, men are really logical, and men are really goal orientated. Testosterone drives you towards winning. So if you get practical about, right, I need to learn about my emotions, I need to learn how to express them, I need to get better coping mechanisms, you've got that testosterone driving you. So that is an edge you have. So yeah, but I really do feel for men. I think you're in dire straits, and I can really understand why. Anyways, that was a very long answer. Let's get back on track. James, how do you deal with overthinking and anxiety? Yeah, so I've got ADHD, so my brain, when you have ADHD, your brain develops in a state of fight or flight, which means part of anxiety is, if you look at what anxiety is our fight, flight, freeze phone being activated, and it's overfiring, it's just misfiring, and it's just constantly activated. And with ADHD, you're kind of growing up in a state of fight or flight, and your brain's wired up that way. So I really understand how hard it is, so I want to say that first. So one of the things you can do with anxiety is think of your brain and your body as a biofeedback. So when we're anxious, what's happening is we're thinking really fast, because anxiety is supposed to protect us from perceived threat or actual threat. So our brain's overthinking, so it's just anxiety. And when our brain is like, oh, alert, alert, life is threatening, it's going to be telling our body to be in a state of fight or flight, ready to go, ready to kick off. So what you can do, if we think about the biofeedback, is we can get our body to signal to our brain, we're relaxed, there's no threat. And that looks like learning to breathe. It looks like learning to open up your posture, because that's safe. Like if we're anxious, we're like this. If we learn to open up our shoulders, sit calm, relax our jaw, just relax our bodies, that will signal to our brain, this is a safe environment. So that's something really simple you can do, is do a body scan and pay attention to how your body feels and signal your brain we're safe. Then, so that's bottom up. Top down is start to analyze your thoughts. Are these thoughts helpful? So you can use something in CBT called take that thought to court. So we have 66,000 thoughts a day on average. That's a lot of fucking thought. And the majority of it is just unconscious. So start to get conscious about your thought and analyze, is this thought true? Because there is no way in hell we are having 66,000 true thoughts a day that we're not even being conscious of. So start to get curious about your thoughts, take them to court. If they're not true, offer a more believable response. So that, yeah, hopefully that's helpful. Right, I'm going to scroll around. I'm going to just pop between the bottom comments in the middle, try and give everyone a fair chance. Lala, is that Lala, Layla? Good morning. Name's Lala. My lizard brain runs things before they even start. I live in a hoarder house, no lie. My brother will pee the bed and sleep in the next night. Mortifying. Yeah, lizard brain. What Lala's talking about is when I was talking about as being fight or flight. So it's the lizard brain, or it's actually called the reptilian brain. It's basically what is responsible for being in fight or flight. So anxiety. And it's, again, to go back to what I was saying, is with anxiety, it's just our internal alarm system going, life's threatening, but everything in our brains is habitual. So if we get into a process, a habit of firing our amygdala, our lizard brain, it will do that automatically. So we need to start hitting the brakes, and that's where the body can really help. Just our body can be the brakes. It can say, right, we're chill the fuck out, Ashley Bloxham brain. Right, let's see what other people are saying. Oz, yeah, we don't reach out. Yeah, and of course, men aren't going to reach out, because it goes against your wiring, it goes against your wiring, and it goes against what's culturally expected of men. And in my experience, when men have reached out, they've been in absolute dire straits, and it's really sad. But also what I realize is, working with men, is the therapies are designed around women. They're not designed around men. Men are very different to the way you process emotions. Just even things like sitting opposite each other is quite difficult for men. Men are much better about opening up if they're doing sport and they're side by side with someone. So it's really difficult. It is. But, just even coming here, like I say, there's a huge disproportion of men compared to women on my channel, which is great. So like even just sitting there listening to stuff is helpful, like turning up in any way you can. Good to talk though now and again. Yeah, it is. Talking's so good because we're putting language to something that's just simmering under the surface, so we can process it. So if we think about unprocessed emotion and shame and guilt, or usually it's around shame or anger, it's just kind of sitting there in our subconscious. Whereas when we speak about stuff, you can physically hear the words that you're saying, and a lot of the time you're able to go, actually, that doesn't sound right, or yeah, actually that sounds really difficult. Like you can have a little bit more compassion for the situation, or a bit more be a bit more rational. There's so many things I've said to my friends and my therapist, and when I've started saying it out loud, I'm like, actually, that is a little bit crazy. That doesn't sound right. Or you can talk about it and hash it out and see a different perspective. So yeah, it is good. Let's see what else people are saying. Stephen, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well. Hope everyone watching is doing well. Let's be kind, caring and loving today. Yeah, let's spread the joy, guys. It's so good for you. So I don't know what your name is. 945. I can't even say the numbers, for God's sake. Oh God. 9425. How can I be more confident in myself? Yeah, so one of the things that you can do with confidence, Jordan Peterson talks about this in a really good way. He talks about confidence is competence. So if we don't feel confident in life, we're not going to have much confidence. So this is where, addiction can be really bad, because if we feel like we're failing, we start to feel very incompetent, and then we start to attach shame to it. So confidence in yourself, self-assurance gives you confidence. But sometimes what we're doing is we're putting huge expectation on what we should be confident in, instead of being realistic. So we need to have realistic goals. So think about it as, okay, if I was a confident person, what would I be doing? What would I be saying? What would my relationships look like? What job would I be in? What would my life look like? And then think about, okay, so that's the goal, that's the North Star. What can I do to build competence to get us to this confident person? And don't think of it as about doing too much. Think about it as widening the circle. So at the moment, I feel like I'm this competent, not very much. But what I'm going to do is slowly widen that circle of competence to get to where I want to be. So that might look like using a technique called scaling. So decide what a confident version of you would look like. Then describe where you are from now in relation to where you want to be, and give it a number. So it might be that I'm not that confident, so I'm going to give myself a 2. Maybe I'm a little bit confident, but it's pretty grim over here, Ashley. So I'm a number 2. And then think about confident Ashley as 10. So then ask yourself, what one thing can I do in alignment with all those things I would be doing to get us from a 2 to a 3? And that it needs to be tiny little steps. Just because what you don't want to do is set the goalpost so high that you're failing, because then you're not going to feel confident. So just a little thing. So just map it out that way. Right, cable. I'm a man and I'm seeing a therapist every couple of weeks or so, and I think it is really helpful. But I think it depends on how much you're really willing to open up and have an open mind about it. Yeah. And this is the thing, it really is about that willingness. And I think also being kind to yourself, that it is really hard to do something like that. Like, Cable's been really brave. You know, even me as a therapist, I remember being terrified when I went to therapy and I was sat in the other chair. I was like, this is fucking horrible. I had a little bit more empathy for my clients. So it's about just doing it. And like I say, just because I don't want to say all men struggle, but just generally what research says is there's barriers that men face that isn't as common for women to face. And it's not that men can't go to therapy and can't attach words and language to the emotion. It's just, it doesn't come as naturally. So yeah, as Cable has said, actually, if you go to therapy and you do it, it will be rewarding. It's just difficult. And it's difficult for anyone, let's be real. So yeah, thanks for sharing that, Cable, because it's so true. And there's, you know, I've worked a lot with men because I work with veterans. It was a male-dominated subset of people. And, you know, I saw the movement in the men. It was really nice just to watch them come in and watch them get there. So it's not that you can't do it. It's just a little bit more difficult. And it's about giving yourself grace if you are a man, that it might be a bit more difficult because it's going to feel alien. But it's something you can do. Lulu, I'm enjoying your talks. We all need to hear some reassuring words at times, and also the breakdown of why we do it and the best chances of staying clean. Yeah, that's kind of what I want to do. I just want to first of all say, look, you're not the only person who's went through this, who's felt shit, who's struggled. I think that's really important, because I try and think about, I want to be the person that I could have done with, because I did it by myself and it was just painful and I felt like I was failing. Talked about that confidence. I felt very incompetent and zero confidence. And then also, like Lulu's saying, the breakdowns of why we do it is so important, because I think we feel like we're doing something wrong. It's like a moral failing, like, oh my God, like it's my fault I'm an addict. And it's really not. And like all of the research shows that addiction is not a moral failing. It's not the person's fault. It is a form of soothing an emotional or physical wound. Right, I'm just going to scroll back to the middle. I'm just going to try and give everyone a fair chance. I can't answer all comments. My mods are doing a great job, but I'm going to, try and dot about. If anyone could give us a subscribe, that would be helpful as well, guys. Right, Ozza said, the thing is, my brain is pretty reward orientated. I've got into the top 3 schools in America that the only way I got validation from my parents is my kids, seems to be why I'm addicted easily. There's 2 things going on there. 1, yeah, it's addicted. 2, and this is just looking at it from a psychology point of view and also in relation to myself, I was like that. I actually quit my PhD because I was like, I'm actually a single mom with a business, struggling, and I'm doing this PhD to prove something to my parents, who actually, in reality, turns out they don't even give a crap what I do. They just want us to be happy. But I think this is this idea of feeling not good enough unless, and it's called conditional love. So to relate this to everyone who's watching, it's not just in line with studying and work, but also just anything where we're doing something we don't want to be doing, whether that's people pleasing, staying in these relationships which aren't healthy, pushing ourselves to the brink, always chasing work or status or whatever it is. it comes from a place of conditional love. And Carl Rogers talks about this. And it's this idea that I'm only lovable if. People will only see my value if I do X, Y, and Z. And a way to help you, Oz, and anybody who's resonating with that, is to think about, okay, I need to learn to love myself, full stop. I need to value myself, full stop, no if. Because if we take away that if, we start to do things that's in alignment with what we actually want to do and what we actually love. So it's not necessarily not doing all the schoolwork and not doing all these degrees or whatever. It's more about doing it from a place of regulation and from a place of self-love and a place of, I want to do that. And that's what we need to do. We need to love ourselves, full stop. We need to value ourselves, full stop. It's not as easy as just like stop an addiction. It's not as simple as saying, right, well, now I've decided I love myself. I'm not an addict and I love myself. It's not as simple as that. But when we understand that's the North Star, where we need to get to, we can start to learn how to do that, which is a day in, day out job, guys. Learning to love yourself. Not for the faint-hearted, not easy, but so fucking rewarding, and you stack up wins along the way. Carla, should I give up or should I keep chasing pavement by Adele? I think we should just, I don't know, it depends if it's a good pavement we're chasing. I do love Adele, you know. What a woman. Yeah, so Cable has said, in relation to what I said before about reaching out for support and therapy, yes, it was hard at first to reach out, but at this point, I'm thankful I did. I'm much better place in my life now than I was a year ago. I can't credit all that to therapy, but it's very helpful. Yeah, it is. It's anything that we've got to do which is hard and scary. Usually there's something good on the other side. That's been my experience. If we think, okay, this is something that I know is going to be helpful, but I'm scared shitless of it. If we can be courageous enough to try it, there's usually something to gain from it. And it is, and it's not just therapy. I think therapy isn't the be all and end all. I'm a therapist, and I don't think that when someone comes through their door, I'm going to fix them. It's not going to happen. But what it can do is it can be a catalyst by offering a safe space to start unpicking what's going on in your life. And it can be a great space to start going, oh, actually, I've got X, Y, and Z that I need to deal with. And I've got someone supportive here to help us do it, but also I need to go and do the work. And I'll say, as a therapist, the clients who do the best, who you just see them fly, are the ones who do the work outside of it. So they don't just think, I'm going to go to therapy once a week and they're going to fix it. It's the ones who are like, right, life's not great at the moment. And to be quite frank, I don't know how to fucking sort it out myself. So I'm going to get somebody else. It's what those people who come in and say, right, I need some support, but I am gunning for change. I am fighting for my life to be better here. And those are the people who just excel, and that is doing stuff outside of therapy as well. So yeah, Cable, fully agree with that, and I think that's a really good point. And that's probably why you're really grateful to yourself, because it sounds like you've really put in the work, and you've recognised it's not one person fixing us, it's a multitude of things which are helping us get to where I want to be, and I'm buzzing you there. Hi, Guy, how you doing? My little moderator. Yeah, thanks to my moderators who are on as well, because I don't even know you here sometimes when I'm going through comments. I just see you moderating and then one popping up. So I really appreciate it. Fire Boutique. My legs stopped working, then God saved me. 3 years later, I'm still sober. I also had narcissistic partner COVID. I am a doula now, and it's still hard sometimes. God saves us all. Yeah, I think I'm really sorry that you went through narcissistic abuse, especially covert. Is really difficult because you almost like gaslight yourself. I've experienced not a relationship with covert narcissistic abuse, but I've experienced someone briefly who was being very covert. It was like I dated them for a little bit, and I was like, really, my nervous system was like, this isn't right. And it was because it was covert. So that's really difficult to deal with. So I'm so glad you've managed to. Fire Boutique's talking about faith, like God being helpful in recovery. And I think spirituality and faith can be really good, but I think just it doesn't need to be faith in God or spirituality, because I recognize there's some people who thinking that doesn't really help me because I'm agnostic. But having faith in something bigger than you is really helpful, whether that's getting out in nature and realizing like I actually live on this planet which is exceptional, and against all odds I'm here experiencing this world. It can really help you to like zoom out of the addiction and give you perspective. Or maybe you have faith in humanity, like actually go out into the world and start interacting with the random neighbours, give someone a smile and or say something nice to somebody at the bus stop, and you start to have faith like actually I'm a human being, I'm part of a collective of human beings. And actually for the most part human beings are lush, we make mistakes, and it can really just help bring us outside of this addiction that just feels so isolating, and we feel so alone and so lonely. And just realizing that we might have a God or spirituality, or we're part of this crazy floating planet rock thing, or I'm part of humanity, can be really good just to pull ourselves out of ourselves. So yeah, I agree with that. Let's see what some other people are saying. I'm going to go to the middle bit. Peter, failure is why I started coke. It brought up a little light in a dark place until it turned all the lights out. Yeah, that's the thing, because if we look at addiction, has anyone ever seen that video actually? I want to post it on my channel actually. I'm going to see if I can. It's like this little duck, and it sees like this little blob. It's like a little duck and it sees a little yellow blob, and it sucks the yellow blob, and it feels so excited and it flies high, and then it falls down, and then it runs to the next blob, and the blobs do less and less to this little birdie duck thing, and then eventually like everything goes grey. And honestly, it makes me cry every time I watch it, because I think that is exactly addiction. Addiction, Peter, is like Peter's expressed, is it gives some kind of relief. And maybe it's relieving something subconscious so we don't realise, or maybe you are conscious of it. Like Peter said, I've had some failures, and it gives this relief. But then eventually, as we build up tolerance, we don't get the same dopamine hit. And actually what happens is it down-regulates our dopamine receptors. So then we lose the ability to get dopamine hits from everyday life. So we're getting less dopamine from the flake. We'll use Peter's example. We're getting less dopamine from the coke. We're just not getting dopamine from normal life now, and it's not having that same comfort and feeling it used to have. And now we've still got the failures, or we've still got, I want to reframe that to emotional or physical pain. And on top of that, we've now got an addiction. So the issue is now got bigger. And on top of that, we're racking up a shame debt, because we're like, right, now I'm sniffing coke every day. Great. I still feel like a failure. I've still had these pains, and now I'm a coke addict, and it just gets bigger and bigger, and it's harder and harder to heal. So I think if we take it back, instead of trying to deal with the initial thing, try and deal with the bigger thing, which is the shame debt we've racked up. Try and give ourselves grace, try to learn to love ourselves again, and slowly work through those layers until eventually we're in a safe enough space to tackle the addiction and the trauma. And alongside that, Peter and anyone listening, going back to what I said before about lack of self-confidence meaning a lack of competence, what we can do is we can reduce harm. So look at the harm reduction with your specific addiction, but we can also start to get a little bit of control. So Peter, that might look like, okay, I do sniff coke, that's fine. Like you say, it was healing, it was soothing this sense of failure I had. Now that's become another problem. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start to get a little bit of confidence over the addiction. And that might look like, usually I come home from work, or maybe I'm not working, maybe I wake up and the first thing I do is ring my dealer and get a line. Instead, get a little bit of control by saying, right, I'm going to wake up and I'm going to do something positive for half an hour, something that I feel is contributing to the quality of my life, not taking away, and I'm going to put off ringing my dealer for half an hour. And then once I've rang my dealer, I'm then going to have that coke half an hour later, and I'm going to praise myself for whatever productive thing I did, and I'm going to praise myself for getting a bit of fucking grip over this situation, which has been running my life. And just slowly try to learn confidence over the addiction. Just little tests where you're not setting yourself up to fail by saying I'm quitting the addiction now, but I'm going to learn how to just fight back a little bit and praise the life out of myself when I've had that little win of fighting back, even if it's just for 5 minutes, half an hour. Right, I'm going to scroll back around and answer some questions. Rampage, should I have coke? Look, I'm going to be real with you guys. I'm not here to judge anyone. I'm not here to say do or don't do something. Like, I'm really not. I will say anytime we take a drug, and anybody who's in active addiction or recovery will be able to tell you this, it's a game of Russian roulette. You do, if that's the first time that if you're sat there and like my name's Ashley and I'm young and dumb again and I've got my first opportunity to sniff a line of coke. Like, I don't know if I'm going to have an addiction. It's a game of Russian roulette. The only time that I know that I am susceptible to being addicted to coke is when I am knee deep in addiction with coke. I'm sitting here thinking, fuck, oh my fucking God, it turns out I probably shouldn't have had that line. Now, some people can take coke and they can be fine. Just like, look at the full society. I would say nearly everyone tries that drink of alcohol when they're younger. They try it. And not everybody's addicted to alcohol. It's a game of Russian roulette. And the ones who find out, actually, I am addicted to alcohol, is when they are sat there thinking, oh my fucking God, turns out I'm addicted to alcohol. So I'm not going to say do or don't do drugs. I'm not going to say they're bad, they're not. It's just, are you somebody who's going to be susceptible? And if you are, and you're finding you're one of those people like me who woke up and thought, oh, maybe I shouldn't have done that line of ket. Maybe I shouldn't have done that line of coke. It's about saying that's okay. I didn't know that this is where I was going to end up. That's fine. It's not my fault. I'm not the only person in the world sniffing coke, let's be real. But what am I going to do now to get out of it? Because it turns out I was susceptible. It was a game of Russian roulette. I've got shot. How am I going to lick me wounds and get out of it with no shame? Right. Cable, she doesn't appear to have a speech impediment to me. Just a thick accent. Fuck's sake. Oh God. Like, I think Geordie accent is literally one big speech impediment. It's all right though. I'm in a full city of people with speech. Well, I actually live in Durham. There's like a full region of people with a speech impediment that I belong to. Oh God. Luke, good morning. How are you feeling today? Good. So much better. I've been so unwell, guys. I've been powering through these lives for the last month. But I'm feeling much better. And my boyfriend, I didn't go and see him this weekend because I was like unwell. And then I started to get better over the weekend and he's caught some rotten bug. And I'm like, I'm so glad I didn't catch that. So it's been really nice to sit, not that I want him to suffer, but it's been really nice to have a mirror of like, you're finally better and it could be worse, you could be feeling like that. So I'm just reveling in my health at the moment. rock climbing skills. Sometimes just talking to others help. 100%. 100%. Yeah, it does. Just talking it out. Or just even just listening to other people. Like when I went to my first, I didn't complete NA, guys, but when I went to my first NA meeting, being taken care that day, and I was watching, and I remember someone got up and they did this speech about like their life, and I was like, that is so helpful. So talking to others and listening to others is really helpful, because it helps you realize, actually, I'm not alone. And going back to what I said earlier on, when we're in active addiction, it's such a lonely place. It really is, especially when we start to realize we've got a problem. Because at first I didn't even want to tell me addict friends that I was struggling. I didn't even want to say like everyone I was getting wrecked with, like, oh, I've actually got a problem. And when I was brave enough to say to my friends, like, I'm actually fucking hating my life at the moment. Like, I'm an addict and I hate it. All of my friends were like, yeah, me too. It's horrible, isn't it? And that was really helpful in me recovery, just opening up to people who I was doing it with. Right, let's see what people are saying. Esthra Cave, you should have used wisdom and never touched it in the first play. Why play Russian roulette? Well, so there's a huge body of research which is called the normalization theory. And what it says is the majority of young people experiment with drugs in this day and age, because it's what's called a rite of passage. That's like textbook. And it's really normal when we're young, when we don't have a frontal lobe. So your frontal lobe, if you don't know, is responsible for impulse control, rational thinking, and it's actually a biological thing. So when we're younger, we need to be able to risk take. That's for evolution. We need to go out there and shoot a shot with women. We need to go and get status, and we need to just do all these risky behaviors so that we can procreate. It's evolutionary. So the problem is that a lot of young people don't have very good impulse control, don't have the best rational thinking skills. And the other thing is, we're designed to connect with peers. So if you've got a bunch of people saying, let's go get pissed up, let's go get wrecked, let's do all these different things, like, oh mate, have you seen, like, I've been watching this porn, let's go gambling. We're doing it because we don't have the capacity to really not do it. So it's not a case of like choosing to play Russian roulette. It's a case of, it's actually really normal for young people to do reckless things. And like, if I look back at my younger version, I'm like, whoa, like, I would never do that. Like jumping on a flight to Ibiza with no hotel booked and just being mental. No. No, thank you. No, thank you, please. So it's not a thing where people are choosing to play Russian roulette. It's a case of, it's just a normal part of growing up. And then what happens is, after so long, a lot of us realise, like, oh, hang on a minute, I've been playing a game of Russian roulette and I didn't realise that the bullet was in my shot. So yeah, to answer that. Alexandra, hi. Alexander, sorry, not Alexandra, two very different names. Hi, is sh considered an addiction? I'm asking because I struggle with alcohol and I'm 13. What's SH? Alexander, would you like to do a one-to-one? Because I can talk you through harm reduction. But yeah, Alexander, the fact that you're here, one, shouldn't really have 13-year-olds on my page. I did set that as not allowed, so sorry about the swearing and talking about stuff, but 13 is a good age to be thinking about this. Like I said, it is a game of Russian roulette, and what's really important at your age is to look at prevention and harm reduction. And I'm happy to sit there and do that with a one-to-one. If you comment on any of my content, just one-to-one, or even if you just want to have a couple of emails back and forth or something, I can help you navigate this time in your life, because like I say, it is a game of Russian roulette. And as somebody who was 13, smoking, then trying weed, then trying alcohol, I learned when I was late in my 30s that actually I was playing a game of Russian roulette. Now, I've done a lot of studying around prevention and harm reduction and how to work with younger people, so I can work through that with you personally, because the thing about this page is it's mainly for people who are already in the shit or have pulled themselves out of the shit. You're in this brilliant stage of your life where you get to prevent going down that path and protect yourself along the way. So yeah, I would say if you don't want a one-to-one, a good rule of thumb for anybody who's watching who's, you know, still developing, who's young, or for somebody who's maybe a parent and has got a kid and wants to know how to navigate this, is if you think of a not always, not never. So if you want to go out and have a drink with your friends and you want to play a game of Russian roulette to an extent, be safe with it. So we always learn habits, and if we're also hijacking our brain at the same time as losing these habits, it's quite dangerous. But if you think about, okay, I've decided I'm going to do these things which are a little bit risky, don't do it all the time. Do it safely, do it in moderation. Have some times where I go out with my friends and I do something and it's safe, and sometimes I go out with my friends and I don't do something. Personally, though, I would say it is dangerous. It is dangerous. Yeah, Roxy is a great person to talk to you about this as well, because Roxy's 20 and Roxy knows a lot about how dangerous this can get. What is SF? As Roxy said, what SF is? Oh, self-harm. Right, okay, yeah, self-harm. Thanks, Roxy, I didn't know what that meant. I do know about self-harm. Yeah. Are you still here, Alexander? Self-harm. So just like addiction, self-harm is a manifestation of something else going on. So yeah, Alexander, if you're still here and you want to have a chat, it's completely confidential. We'll have a little chat and I can try and get you in the right direction and try and just support you. Right, I'm going to go about though, because I don't know if Alexander's still here, and obviously trying to make sure everyone gets seen and heard as best I can. Right, Mike, I think most people on the internet are out of their minds. Looks like you're doing some great work with the live. Thank you for that. Great info, very insightful. I hope you reach a lot of folk. Thank you, Mike. I hope so too. Look, let's be real. I'm also out of my mind. We're all mad here. But yeah, it is. I find it sometimes I get a little bit overwhelmed with algorithms as well, because there's a lot of crazy people just spitting craziness. Hi, Chris, how are you doing? I've emailed you back, by the way. Again, just to repeat myself, lovely to see so many people here and commentating and supporting one another respectfully. Let's continue to build this fantastic community. Yeah, Chris has done something great. So he does Strava, and he's looking at starting up a Strava group. But Strava's like for running guys, and he said that really helped him in his addiction recovery. And if I remember correctly, Chris, you said that a lot of people on the Strava group that you were in had also been in recovery. So I think that's a great thing for if anyone's struggling with addiction recovery, is to get involved with some kind of group sport, and if we're not very mobile, like there's so many different things. Like you see the OAPs doing like little aqua aerobics, or there's like, even if we're like my auntie's in a mobility scooter, you can go to Slimming World. She gets so much camaraderie from there. Or she goes to like, you can go and do like different things. There's something for everyone where you can get a bit of camaraderie, a bit of group support, and a bit of a win. So yeah. Oh, Alexander, you're here. Hi, Alexander. Did you want to have a little one-to-one? Would that be helpful to you? I'm glad you're still here. And also, I'm glad Roxy has said what SH is, because I am not down with the kids. Oh, God. I don't think I ever really was, to be honest. I've always been a bit of an oddball. Right. Let's see what other people are saying. I'm just going to scroll to the middle, guys, see what people are saying. Right, so Fire Boutique, when I was originally fighting back, I was going to charity shops and buying cookbooks, anything to take my time up other than drinking. Yeah, it's a bit, if you think about it, like, again, if it ties in with that competence and confidence thing I was talking about, like going and getting cooking books, like every time we feel like we're failing because I want to stop the addiction I've not been able to, it just knocks our self-esteem. Anytime we do something where we feel like we're winning and we've done a small achievement, counteracts that. So if you think of it like we're racking up a shame debt or an incompetence debt, we're racking up this debt, and by doing something where we're winning, it's really good. And the thing with like cooking is you're creating something, it's really fast, so you get that win within half an hour. And also you're putting something good into your body and you're developing a skill, or maybe you're leaning back into a skill. It's just really helpful. And it doesn't need to be cooking, it can be anything. It can literally be anything. But I think food's a really good win because we can all make micro changes in our food and you'll actually see a difference regardless whether you're knee deep in addiction or you're not. So like one of the best ways that I did this was I started learning about the gut microbiome. So I started watching podcasts about it and reading about it. And the more I learned about the gut microbiome and the impact it has on mental health, because a lot of the serotonin, which is the loved up hormone that we have, think of it like, you know, when you take ecstasy, it's because it makes us, we have this loved up feeling. That's why it's called ecstasy, because we produce loads of serotonin. So that serotonin, the most of it's in our gut. So if we start to feed our gut microbiome, which are like these tiny little bugs, like a little universe of bugs living in our gut, if we start to give them the right foods and start to feed the right gut microbiome, the little bugs which are helpful, you'll notice such a difference in your mental health because you'll be producing serotonin. You'll start to heal your gut lining, which means you're gonna not be letting toxins float around your brain. There's so many benefits. So yeah, get a cookbook, learn about it, guys, because no matter where you are in your addiction recovery, this is something that you can start to learn about and make micro changes that you're going to see results for today. You can literally go and do that right now. Right, I'm starting to get a little bit tired, guys, so this is like a little bit of a warning that I'm going to be going soon. I'll try and answer some more questions. Apocalyptic Dog, Gusto meal boxes are pretty good, yeah, because if you don't know how to cook, it literally teaches you how to cook. I like Gusto. One thing that I've started doing, because I've been really unwell, and I've been in this cycle of feeling unwell, getting a little bit better, catching something else. I had a bipolar low as well, which I think it was just before, it was due when I first started these lives, I was having a bipolar low. So I was struggling to eat well. And I knew that like, because I'm not eating well, it's making it worse. So I started looking into meal preps and I found this thing called Planty online. I literally, for the last week, I've had these meal preps delivered and they're so nice. They taste lush. Obviously, I'm vegetarian, so this isn't for everyone. I'm vegetarian and it's hitting every single micronutrient that I need. It's hitting all the vitamins and minerals and all different plants and stuff that I need, and it tastes really nice. So Gusto's is a good idea. You can get meal preps, which is a good idea. You can get cookbooks, which is a good idea. You can make one pot meals. Like I went on Instagram and TikTok and just started saving a little file of one pot meals where it's literally teaches you how to make a really healthy meal by bunging everything into one pot, putting it in the oven. And yeah, there's loads of different things you can do, and it doesn't need to be massive. We don't need to be like Michelin star chef, guys. We just need to make better choices. Inspirational ambivert, fasting works wonders. Autophagy begins around 18 hours. Yeah, fasting's really good. Again, guys, start looking into it. There's so many diverse CEOs which talk about it. There's also, if you're a woman and you're watching and you want to know about fasting, just comment on any of my content fasting. There's a really good diverse CEO around women and fasting, because women and men are different. But if you're not, if you don't want to watch it, the top and bottom of why we're different is because fasting impacts cycles. So women have to approach it differently because of our menstrual cycles. We're wired up, and a lot of the research is based on men. But yeah, inspirational ambivert's spot on. And autophagy basically means you produce these stem cells which go around your body and act like little SAS warriors and start getting rid of any malignant cells. So there's some research where they've started using fasting with cancer patients, because they go around and literally get rid of any cells. So they heal your body really fast. It's loads of things. Last thing I'll say on fasting, because I don't want to bore you, but is incredibly important for harm reduction. As somebody who deals with psychosis, fasting can induce psychosis. So if you've got bipolar, schizophrenia, don't do fasting without seeking like medical support, because I've actually induced a psychotic episode of doing fasting before. So just wanted to quickly say that. Yeah, inspirational ambivert saying your brain runs on ketones for energy instead of glucose. Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool, guys. Look into it. You can also get ketones off doing the Atkins diet, like so that's another version of fasting where you can eat meat products instead of that. Obviously, I'm vegetarian, so that wasn't an option for me. What is this heretics? What does heretics even mean? I don't know what that means. Anyone let us know? Oh, right, I want to see if Alexander's replied, guys. Give us a sec. Oh, you said I'm here. Alexander, I haven't seen anymore. Right, you haven't replied. If you want any support, Alexander, just comment on any of my content support and I'll get in touch with you and take it off social media. I'll leave it there though. Right, let's see what else. Oh, by the way, Inspirational Ambivert Scott, who's talked about autophagy and fasting's got his own channel, and it's really great. We talked about self-love. He does a great job of normalizing the human experience and offering some support on how to break down shame and, you know, how to loads of different topics. So my topic's quite niche. He's a lot more broad. So I'd suggest go check his channel out. Let's see what people are saying. Roxy, actually, Ashley, can you link or say how to get in touch, contact with you via socials, etc.? Yeah, I don't know how to make a comment. I've tried to make a comment to pin some helplines because I've got international helplines, and honestly, I don't know how you do it. I tried to ask ChatGPT as well. Like, I'm such a technophobe. And I know that I'm like on technology, but I probably shouldn't be. If anyone can tell us in a really simple way, how do I make a comment whilst giving a live? In fact, Inspirational Ambivert, can you help us, please? You type your own comment and pin it. Yeah, I don't know where to make comments, so I can't see something to make comments with. Because when it's something that looks like a thingy, a comment, is actually says community moderation and chat filter. And then there's a little plus, which doesn't seem to be doing anything. And then, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing, guys. Roxy, can you do as... Can I pin a comment? Yeah, Roxy, can you do us a favour and can you write, you do it from another phone watching your own live? Right. Can I do it? I'm going to get StreamYard in like literally a week or two. I think I can do it on there. Roxy, can you do us a favour and just write this email address out and pin it? In fact, no, I'm not going to do that. Just if anybody wants to access support, just comment on any of my social media. Could you write that down for us, Foxy, please? Just say, if you want support, just comment on any of my shorts or lives and I'll get a notification and I will pick it up, I promise. But thank you, Guy. That's helpful. What? OJ's saying it's easy, just learn how to cook. Yeah, but like when you don't know how to cook, it doesn't feel that easy. Do you know what I started to learn to cook? Eggs. And I started thinking I was some kind of Michelin egg chef. I was like, I started off making scrambled eggs. I thought, right, the first thing that I can change in my diet is I can make a healthy breakfast because I was eating like takeaways, pizza, microwavable meals. And I started learning about how shite ultra processed food is for us, and I thought that's great, but I don't know how to cook. So I started to make eggs, and like I thought the first thing I can do is start my day off with eggs on toast. And I started getting so over the top with it. I thought, I don't know who I thought I was, but I was like putting Wensleydale cheese in by the end of it, growing my own thyme, putting a sprig of that in it. Honestly, honestly though, I can make so many variations of scrambled eggs, guys. So, yeah. But it just answers the question. When you don't know how to cook, it's not as easy as just cook, but you can just start cooking somewhere and become the best egg chef ever. Oh, hello, Chris, Warrior for Jesus. How you doing? I'm just starting the day. Being here with all of you guys is a good boost of energy. This community rocks. Yes, it does. Thank you. Although we're getting a bit rogue talking about my scrambled egg skills at the moment. You can... Right, let's see what Roxy's saying. Actually, Ashley, can you link us? Oh, yeah, you've already said that. Yeah, but I can also help you. Yeah, can you help us and then I'll try and work out how to do it next time. If anyone needs support, yeah, thank you. Thanks, Guy. Oh, I've just pinned my first message. He's a witness in the rise of Ashley on technology. Count every win. Right, Chris, get back to us when you can poach. Oh my God, I have not poached an egg. I bought some of them egg poachers, the plastic things. It was vile. I'm scared. I need to practice poaching an egg, don't I? Do you know what it is? I've just got me allotment, so that's really good for me mental health. And actually, my neighbour was the one who inspired us to get allotment. He's passed away. And he got an allotment and that actually helped him get out of his alcohol addiction. So he struggled with alcohol addiction and coke addiction for years. And then he got this allotment and he had something to do. Unfortunately, he ended up passing away like 6 years into being sober. Another tip he did, by the way, guys, so he got something that he loved and then he used non-alcoholic beers, but you have to reduce down with alcohol. It's really important you safely get off alcohol. But anyways, he had an allotment and he used to take us down and he had chickens and he used to get eggs. So that's where the crazy eggness came from. But I've just got my own allotment because when he died, it meant that one became available, which was really bittersweet. But yeah, it's got its own little coop with a little home for eggs and ducks. So when I get my own eggs and ducks, which I'm hopefully going to get in March, I'll start tackling a poached egg. Watch this space, guys. Anyways, if anyone needs any help on counselling or like mental health or addiction, please ask us. Otherwise, you're just getting support on scrambled eggs. And let's face it, I don't know how to do poached eggs, so I need to shut up. And also watching us struggle with technology. Right, what are people saying? I'm just going to scroll around. I'm going to go near the middle. Oh, Cable's saying, I tend to do that a lot, actually. think about how crazy and awesome it is to be on earth, and I'm thankful every day that I wake up. Yeah, gratitude is so helpful in mental health, and not just from a woo-woo perspective. I love it when science backs it up, and honestly, there's so much science that says that we produce when we're grateful and we stop, like it's the word awe. When we sit in awe, we produce so many biochemicals, like so many good happy endorphins of just sitting in this space of awe. So like this is why a lot of people who've struggled in addiction end up being absolute nature warriors, because you start to get dopamine from everyday life, and for the first time it's like when you have addiction, it feels like you're just walking around with this horrible grayness to life. It just, addiction sucks the joy and the brightness out of life. And then when you start to come out of it, all of a sudden you're like, oh, actually I'm starting to feel good, I'm starting to feel better. And if you can sit there and try and access the state of awe, you'll start to really see an improvement, because you can be like, actually, I'm living in this amazing, crazy world, and it's pretty goddamn outstanding. Like, life is pretty miraculous. Right, Andrew has said, no point in sniffing coke, crack is far better. I've been clean from drugs for 2 years. This January, still on the booze heavily. So I think what Andrew's talking about is, so I actually had somebody who spoke about crack. So this is, I want to be really careful, and if you're going to listen to this, I need you to listen at the end, because I'm not advocating for either side. I had somebody who was talking about crack being a harm reduction because you're getting rid of all the impurities, so you're burning out all the crap before you smoke it. So on one sense, crack can be far better. On the other side of things, I've had quite a few people who I've known in my life, one of which was like my absolute best friend, who started off with coke and then ended up going on to crack. And he is said to us, you cannot imagine how hard it is to get off crack cocaine. And he had managed to quit a ketamine addiction, which he was using the most excessive way I've known someone to use ket. He managed to get off that, and he said, you think ket's bad? Wait until you try to get off crack. So I get what Andrew's saying, but I do want to caveat with, I think it's an individual journey. All right, I'm going to scroll around. Yeah, OMD, that's why I'll take crack is harm reduction. Yeah, that's why I said make sure you listen until the end. I've been told by somebody that does not mean that that's where I position myself. And I don't want to basically discredit what Andrew was saying, but as somebody who's seen one of my favourite people in the world go through crack addiction, I'm not going to stand on that side of the fence. Right. The Lord so Chris is saying, the Lord renews his mercies every morning. That's why they are beautiful. As you wake each day, know that the plan for your life is still in motion. Seek, knock, and you will find. The door will open. Yeah, I think that's really great for anyone who's Christian or like faith-based and spirituality, to recognize, everything happens for a reason. But even if you're not, even if you're agnostic, like, hammer down that door anyways. Create a door and knock it down, because we as humans are amazing people, and we can do anything that we put our minds to. It's just about getting ourselves into a position where we can tap into that drive and creativity. But anyways, guys, I'm really tired. I'm going to pick one more comment and I'll end it there. Right. Let's see. We'll go to the last comment. Copney, you're just going to get called Red. Just smoked a fat spliff. Oh God, try sniffing a spliff. This is why I know I'm tired, guys. My dyslexia is getting worse. Just smoked a fat spliff, not sniffed a fat spliff. Read over everything. Crack nearly killed me. Lucky I have a strong family who helped me. Been crack free over 10 years. Yeah, there is somebody literally. Crack, I wouldn't say is the way forward. But obviously it's worked for Andrew, and I know somebody else who said that helped them. But yeah, crack cocaine. So the two worst addictions. So David Nutt put all drugs into a list, and he categorized them from worst to least. And the top two was heroin and crack cocaine. And he had a method to quantify this. So weed was a lot lower down. And this is one of the things, again, I'm not going to advocate for weed, because I know I try to be kind of diplomatic on this channel, because the thing is, everyone's different, everyone's journey is different. And I try to honour that. And I try to stay on the fence and look at it through a research lens and a lived experience lens, and a clinical lens, but also a human lens. So I know people who've really struggled with weed. I've worked with people who it's ruined their life, and I know people who it's really ruined their life. But I also know people who do what Red does, and have got off heroin and are smoking weed, and like, what a fucking win. What a win to get off crack or heroin, which is the worst. Like, it's been quantified to be that way. To get off crack and heroin and get to a place of smoking weed, like, that version of you who was smoking crack could only dream, probably not even imagine being where you are today. So fucking hats off to you. Guy, legal cannabis is good to get people off crack, heroin and ket. Yeah. So this is the thing as well. We've got to... One of the first things I learned in addiction recovery training program I did, it was called Blue Light. Blue Light's really good, guys. You can look into it. And it's a harm reduction service that go around teaching, like, they teach people who are clinicians. And the first thing they said is abstinence is not always the answer. And the problem is, we think as a society, and this then trickles down into our own beliefs, that if I'm in addiction, the only option is stay abstinent from all drugs and alcohol. It's not always the case. And you have to look at yourself as the individual, like, what is good for me? What's harm reduction? Where do I want to end up? What's my goals? And what can I do strategically to get to them goals? So I think sometimes it can be really detrimental to sit there and say, like, you need to be teetotal, because that's not everyone's journey. Some people have to be. Some people would prefer to be on weed, and that's great. Like, if you're living a great life on weed, brilliant, I'm all for it. If you use weed to get off something, brilliant, I'm all for it. Because realistically, the goal is to not be on crack or heroin. So yeah. Anyways, guys, I am tired. Thanks for everyone who showed up. I usually do my lives every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 a.m, 9 p.m. GMT time. But I'm actually going to see Mackenzie Mackay, who's my favourite artist, in Newcastle tonight with my best friend. So I'll not be here tonight. Thanks for my moderators. You've done an amazing job, because there's no way in hell I can get through all them comments. And thanks for everyone who showed up. And yeah, I'll see you on Friday morning if you're free. And anybody wanting some support, just comment on any of my content, and I will get a notification and I'll get back to you. Bye. Oh, actually have a good time. Yeah, I know I will. Don't you know it? It's my first time going to a gig as well. No alcohol, guys. So I'm a little bit apprehensive, because I know I've just never done it. And I think when we're trying to cut something out of our lives, which, by the way, I'm not cutting alcohol out is going back to abstinent. I'm not saying I'm never going to have a drink again. I'm just recognise I get too much beer and I have a slight problematic relationship. So I'm going out tonight, and it's really hard. I'm sure everybody who's been in addiction recovery will know when you're facing a trigger, something that you associate with alcohol or whatever. So it's my first night going to a gig with no alcohol, no drugs, and I'm sure I'm going to have a good time, but I have a little bit of apprehension, but I'm going to do it and I'll report back. The only way is to fight it, is being around it. Yeah, Fire Boutique. And I feel like I'm in a good enough headspace to do that. So with me ketamine, it took me years to be able to be around it, and I couldn't have a friend who does ket all the time. But yeah, alcohol's a bit of a different one for me because it's not been an addiction, but rather a problematic relationship. But yeah, I'm going to go around it tonight, guys, but I'm also going to have Mackenzie Mackay, who's my favourite artist, to get us through it. So yeah, thanks. Bye.